Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. He's Rogers Hampton. I'm Patrick Netherton. We're pleased to have you with us. And we're pleased to welcome in the man who told us this was all going to be done in September. But here we are in the end of January, finally getting to talk to Art Carmody about the conference times. About time you got this done, Art.
Yeah, I apologize, Patrick. That one's on me. I kept telling you 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, back starting like August. So
you're basically
we finally.
As I say, you're basically like every girl I've ever tried to reach out to. She's like, "Yeah, I'll text you back in a little while." Never happens. I never get texted back.
At least I was texting you back. I just texting you back, just delaying the inevitable.
That's true. You didn't ghost me. You just strung me along. All right, Art. So we just kind of went through this. Basically, you get a rotation of Army and BYU every other year, beginning next year with Army, then BYU, Army, BYU, Army, BYU for the 6-year cycle. And then you're mixing in 3 different conferences, Pac-12, Conference USA, American, then 2 more times with the Pac-12 and once more with Conference USA. Kind of walk us through where was the holdup? What was kind of holding this process up, and where do you feel like you are now that you've been able to announce it?
Yeah, well, the thing that was holding it up were television agreements that were not finalized and needed to be announced.
Mm-hmm.
BYU announced theirs today. They gave us the go-ahead to announce, and then the American Athletic Conference working through their television agreement with ESPN, and then working through how the selection process would work. Which they still haven't finalized yet, but they told us we were good with announcing their agreement with us for 2022. So those were the holdups. We pretty much had the structure and everything in place at the with handshake deals end of August, early September. And we were hoping that we were going to be able to go ahead and announce, but the television deals kind of held everything up. So that's what we've been waiting on.
Yeah. So walk me through the thought process here because traditionally bowl agreements typically have always been you get a certain selection within a conference, and then you've always had Big 12, SEC, and that kind of thing. Walk me through why the choice was made to go ahead and go with certain teams, and obviously they have to be independents. They can't be in a league. But tell me why the choice was made to go with Army and BYU as opposed to, hey, let's try to find another conference.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a long process, and I've kind of told you about it. We started this in 2018, mm-hmm. and how that process kind of started was the NCAA basically said, hey, the next agreement cycle from 2020 to 2025 is on the table. Go get your agreements in place. And at that point, we, and I've mentioned before, Trey Giglio, our chairman in 2018, did a fantastic job of making phone calls and establishing relationships. And we called everybody. We called Pac-12, all the Power 5 conferences, all the Group of 5 conferences, and the independents, just to make sure that we were in front of them, because we did not know how it all was going to shape out with other bowl games coming on board, and, mm-hmm. and which conferences were going to be exploring other opportunities and other bowl games. So we just kind of had everything, on the front end in place with everybody to have discussions. And through the process, Army expressed an interest in our game, BYU expressed an interest, and we kind of just worked throughout this entire process to come up with these different matchups. And there's a lot of things that went into it, and a lot of people that helped us out on this process. But we felt that this gave us a good group of regional teams, as well as some national brands. And you and I have discussed on your show that the days of 18 bowl games, and you have the SEC versus the Big 12, or you have the SEC versus the ACC. For our game was probably not going to happen going forward. And we, as a organization, we needed to kind of readjust who we are as a bowl game, and we felt that this gave us kind of the best of both worlds with the regional conference tie-ins, the national brands, and the ability to, with this next 6-year cycle, to promote these games every year.
Who do you talk to at conferences anyway? I mean, is that a direct to the commissioner thing, or is that we're talking to assistant commissioners? I mean, Who do you actually deal with on a regular basis when you're discussing, hey, we're looking at conference tie-ins with y'all?
Yeah, it's usually the commissioner and usually their associate commissioner that's in charge for football. So for like, for instance, Conference USA, Merton Hanks, when we were dealing with the ACC, Michael Strickland, with the American, Scott Draper, those individuals are the ones that are, they're our first point of contact, and they'll go to the commissioner, or we'll all be on conference calls, with the commissioner as well, discussing what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so the question I've gotten most out of this, and I know you answered it earlier, but I have not told anyone what your answer was. The question I'm getting the most is, okay, what happens if one of these years Army or BYU does not qualify, does not get to 6 wins?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and we're hoping to have those backup agreements like we've had in the past secured, hopefully in the next few months. We're still talking to a number of different conferences and trying to figure out, how those would work in those specific years. I hope to have that information in the next few months, and then always, when you're in this situation, at-large possibilities are always in play. As we've seen, in years past where we've been looking, like for instance with the Pac-12, they weren't a primary partner or backup partner for us, but in the last few years we've had to look at available teams from that conference to possibly fill our game. So it'd go back to that same situation where we're looking at other available bowl eligible teams.
So what you're saying is you'll tell us in 2 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give me 2 weeks. Get back to me.
Talking to Art Carmody, the chairman for the Independence Bowl. The other question I had was, when does the walk-on, is the walk-on's contract over, or is it still continue to a certain date?
No, it's over.
Okay.
It ended with the
game.
When the clock hit 0:00
Gotcha.
During the game. But again, like I've told you before, they've been a great partner. We have had some discussion with them on potential, doing some smaller things with us over the next few years, and then they've been more than willing to help with the next title sponsor search any way they can.
Speaking of, where does that stand right now? How's that looking?
Give me about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Gotcha.
On that. No, to be honest with you, Impression Sports is doing a great job of helping us out with that. We've had some discussions with some potential companies about that, but nothing that's near any finish line or any deadline.
Yeah. Is there when you're doing a title sponsor search, is there you go in with a profile, or do you tell the people that are handling the search, do you say, okay, this is kind of what we're looking at, or is it, hey, anything, we're open to anything, let's see what's out there, or do you try to narrow the search a little bit when it first begins?
No, Impression Sports, they've been doing this a long time, and they've kind of got it down to a science. They've got a deck that they send out to potential sponsors that are interested in sponsoring a bowl game. That gives all of our information, what we do throughout the year, television rating numbers, ticket sale numbers, attendance numbers, what teams we've had, what teams we're going to have. And they put that all together to try to make it very attractive to a potential title sponsor. And then if that title sponsor is interested, Impression usually tries to set a phone call with either that, whoever's in charge for that company, and we get on the phone with them and answer questions they have, and kind of figure out what the dollar amount would be, and where they are and where we are, and how all that works. So that's kind of the process. And then there's a lot of back and forth, and Impression usually follows up and tries to help with any questions they may have.
Rogers, I want you to get on the mic for a second for me. I know I don't usually call you in for interviews, but would you say that Art's had a very successful chairmanship thus far? Would you say?
Absolutely.
Do you know he has one major failing in his chairmanship? Did you know he failed in one major aspect?
And what is that, Mr.
If
Netherton?
you'll recall, I'd proffered the Netherton plan for going forward with conference tie-ins, where they just got West Division teams from the Sun Belt Conference USA and the American Athletic, because those are the ones that are geographically located. Art has completely failed on getting us the Netherton plan implemented for the Independence Bowl. So I'm going to have to refer to his entire chairmanship as a failure. Okay.
No,
I'll let you
Patrick's
respond.
right, Rogers. Yeah, no, Rogers. Patrick is he's absolutely correct.
Man.
You know, I championed this for Patrick, and I was not able to get it done. Patrick's got a lot of fans. He's got a lot of national fans, and I've heard from a lot of them today since we announced this that I let him down, and I let the Netherton fan base across the nation down.
The Netherton Aniac.
This is probably going to go. It's probably going to go on my review. So
Yeah.
if anybody at the bowl office is listening, I tried my best. Sorry I wasn't able to get this done, but please be kind.
Yeah. I also thought y'all missed a golden opportunity at the presser today. Because you had a board that had the matchups, and if you didn't see it, we tweeted it out on the Netherton Show Facebook page and on the Twitter feed. If you want to go check that out, but you had the big board and you had the little cutouts of each of the logos. You missed a great chance, Art, to let all the media members try to guess the matchups, Price is Right style. You go stick the logos on whatever year you think they're going to be at, and then you say, how many do I have right? You pull the handle, and it's like 2. It's like, okay, well, I got to try again. I think you should have implemented that. I think it would have been gold.
No, you're absolutely right. We missed a golden opportunity there. I will give credit to Eric Evenson and Jeff Butler and Logan Lewis for putting that together. But you're correct. We could have had a game. Only problem is I don't know how we would have fit like a car in there, like
Right.
what you could win, like they do on Prices Right, and how we would do a showcase showdown later on.
Well, no, you just tell them, look, you would have won a gift certificate to Walk-Ons, but since their sponsorship ended after the game, now you win nothing. You just win the pride of correctly predicting the matchups.
Here's a Walk-Ons gift card, but there's no balance.
Right, exactly. We ate all the boom boom shrimp. Sorry, we took care of that for you. All right, so what's next, Art? You obviously you mentioned you're working on the sort of secondary agreement should BYU and Army not be available. You also got the title sponsorship that you're working on. That's enough to keep anybody busy. But what other things are kind of brewing for you right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll still be the chairman through. I think March 5th is going to be the official handing of the baton over to Frank Auer. Excited about him taking over. I know he's excited about it. Tonight we actually have our volunteer appreciation party because we can't put this game on and do a lot of the events throughout the year that we do without all of the great volunteers that help us out. So we have an event for them tonight at Silver Star, which is a very nice event that we do. We recognize the volunteers for helping us along the way throughout the year. The title sponsor search that will continue to take up a lot of my time, and the backup agreement. I know Misty and staff are working to finalize those. So, hopefully in 2 weeks we'll let you know about those. And then, I'll stay on as the past chair on the executive committee. And then, I love the Independence Bowl and I love being able to promote college football here in my hometown. And I'll continue to be involved and help in any way that I can.
Are you going to be one of those? Are you going to be one of those past chairs that they, you look down at the end of the bar and you're down there and like, man, that poor guy, he's here every night. Like every year at the Independence Bowl, he's down there at the end of the bar just drinking, talking about how good it was when he was here. You going to be one of those guys? You're going to be living in the past?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, in my red jacket at all times.
Yes. Your red jacket that you got on eBay, is that right?
Yeah, I got it on eBay. I think it was for $37.
Oh, that's beautiful. Here's the problem, though, Art. You're a fit and trim guy. You're kind of an average size male. When you're my size, you can't just buy stuff off the internet. You off the rack and off the internet doesn't work. You got to go get that stuff specially fitted. So I can't do that.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll have to change the patch.
Well, yeah, at some point. Actually, I think you just leave the patch and just
that's true. Yeah.
And I actually, if you were to change it, just change it to a picture of your own face.
No, I'll keep the same patch on there and just be like back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day when we had Walk-Ons as a sponsor before they got 7,000 locations in the entire country.
I was there when they had one.
That's right. I was there the first time there was a Walk-Ons back in Baton Rouge. Look, brother, I love you, and congratulations on the announcement. We're definitely looking forward to it. Hoping to hope the title sponsor search ends before you before you're done with your chairmanship, so we can have you back on to discuss it. But we'll be looking forward to hearing from you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate it. Thanks, Roger. Thanks again for all the support. Thanks for
Good
showing up
job,
today, man.
brother. Good job.
All right,
Thank
see you,
you.
Art. Art Carmody the fourth, ladies and gentlemen.